Welcome to Picks with the Professor, the show where a real statistics professor
and his cousin
gives you sports betting tips. I'm your host, Professor Sides. For the latest updates, information, and picks, you can follow me on Twitter at Professor Sides, and you can follow my cousin Jared on Twitter at Cousin Jared. This Major League Baseball episode covers every game scheduled to be played on Wednesday, October 12th, 2022. This is Game 2 of the National League Division Series games. In case you're new here, check out the webpage on the banner. That's www.pickswiththeprofessor.com/new. Yeah, that's right there. He's pointed to there for you. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. For a primary explanation, you can pause if need be and read that and come back. Otherwise, the goals for this episode are to share key information about these games, give you a few things to think on, and explain why certain plays are being made. I never recommend blindly tailoring your fitting any pick, but rather to hear the justifications and thought processes to make sure you're fully on board with us or against us before investing your hard-earned money. As always, remember that there are no locks in gambling, so what I provide are loves, likes, and leans. It is A, B, and C grades, and to get my confidence level with respect to scaling wagers. However, please understand that good and bad variance will occur, so as much as I'd like to say we'll be profitable each and every day, that is an impossible reality for any gambler. Cousin Jared, haven't seen you in a while here on our baseball show. I feel like you've been college footballed out on us.
Yes, I have. And the crazy thing is that I remember opening day. It was April 7th. It was a Thursday, and being on that show, and the fact that we have come all the way through the regular season, through the wild card round, and now to the divisional series, it just does not seem possible that baseball season has gone by this quickly.
Yeah. Where does the time fly, right?
It flies, that's for sure.
I guess. All right. Well, before we get to today's slate, some reminders. Please hit that like button if you're on YouTube. Also, if you aren't yet, please consider subscribing or following. It's free. And if you turn on notifications, you won't miss any of college basketball, MLB, or college football content that this channel provides. Got some college football week 7 stuff out for you already. If you haven't seen that, make sure you go check that out. Also, we've started up a Patreon page for those of you looking to support the show and get extra benefits. Membership starts at just $3 per month, which gets you the play of the day. And to get a reminder, if you're looking for some other things, for just $5 a month, you can get access to our Discord chat, ask questions about any of the games, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. It's the best way to get us to answer questions. It's the easiest way for us to see that you have the questions. Otherwise, let's get to the games. All lines courtesy of BetOnline. Sign up link in the show description and current as of the time of this recording on Tuesday night. And as a reminder, the prices you will see on the screen in parentheses are the money line prices needed for those sides to reach a certain level money line play according to Sideline. We got 2 NLDS game 2s for you. The first one will be 4:35 Eastern. Phillies at the Braves. Phillies escaping with a win in game 1. A huge win. Obviously setting up now for Wheeler and Nola. I mean, this is exactly how you draw it up. If you're a Phillies fan, win the first one in 2. That way Suarez, who's your third best pitcher, can go in game 1. You know, you got to win one of these next 2 if you're the Phillies. And, it sets up, if you can take this one, you're in really good shape. Weather-wise, it'll be a nice day in Atlanta. Mid-70s to start, around 70 degrees to finish. Winds will be blowing in at 5 to 10 miles an hour. So that will be a little bit of a better under-type play if that's the angle you're looking for in this game than on game 1. It was blowing out. We do have a slight chance of rain and around the 20% mark. Something to keep an eye on. Shouldn't be too big of a deal, but you never know with Atlanta. Zach Wheeler and Kyle Wright, 2 really good starting pitchers. Wheeler, obviously, though, is the better pitcher between these 2, but Kyle Wright's a guy we've liked to back all season. Wheeler with a 2.82 ERA, and the underlying metrics say that's pretty spot on, one of the top pitchers in my database. Kyle Wright, a 3.19 ERA. Advanced metrics say it maybe should be a tiny bit higher, but still very good. Obviously, the Braves have an edge with regards to the relievers, and you saw that with the Phillies trying to blow game 1 late in that one. Offensively, I think these 2 teams are about the same. Sideline says the Braves should be a minus 134 favorite here. Basically says the Braves have a little bit of a home edge. And the fact that Wheeler is better than Wright is kind of offset by the fact that the Braves can have a short leash with Wheeler and go to that awesome pen of theirs. They did use a lot of guys in game 1, but they just have so many relievers coming at you. Sideline thinks the Braves should win at a 57% clip. That's good enough for me to take the Braves at minus 125 on the money line, as you can see on screen there. If it gets really basically into the 1 teens, that's an A grade pick. Up to minus 121 to be an A grade pick. minus 122 to minus 131 is a B group pick. That's where this money line falls right now. So it's a B group pick for me on the Braves money line. Total is 7, and sideline says 7.3. Cousin Jared, what's your take for us on this game?
Yeah, so you talk about sideline setting that total at 7.3. When I go look at the markets right now, you can get under 7 at plus 105. So I'm actually going to play the under 7 in this spot. And again, I like that probably at even money or a little higher. Like I said, plus 105 right now. I don't like it if you would have to start laying odds there. And the reason I say that is because if Kyle Wright, has a good game, obviously you feel good about this game going under the number there. But even if Kyle Wright gets chased after maybe like 4 1/3 innings or something, Zach Wheeler can still definitely go 7 2/3 innings or something like that and only give up 1 run. So unless the Braves bullpen, unless the Phillies get out to such a lead where they're just, the Braves are just throwing guys in there, not really caring, trying to save their arms, for the next game of the series, which it would have to be really out of hand at that point.
Yeah, because you're not going to just concede and go down 0-2 unless it's if it's like 10-0 or something, then it doesn't matter, right? Like at that point, we don't wave the white flag until it's way past, until the over's already hit, really.
Yeah, exactly. And so I just think that both pitchers you talked about them, both pitchers are really, really good in this matchup, and I don't think either team's going to give up on this game at any point. So I like the under 7, and again at plus odds or even money is where I really like it. Not so much if you had to minus 105 or minus 110.
Yeah, I agree. This one would be one where I kind of just. Honestly, the total, I kind of just take whatever plus odds you can get, right? If it's under 7 plus odds or, however it flips around to other numbers, I just really look at plus odds. I think it's priced fairly well, so the plus odds offers you some value. Yep. I think sideline total is a little high on this one, honestly. 7.3 feels a little high. Wheeler is really good. I don't know what else there is to say about that. And Wright's overperformed all season and been a guy I've loved to back all season. And both these offenses are good. It's a situation where I would definitely not go under 6.5, but I'm a little surprised this number is hanging at 7 at plus odds. It seems a little bit, it's not a play that I'm making right now, but I don't think it's the craziest play because like you said, you kind of expect both pitchers to do better than what the pitchers did in game 1. Max Fried struggling was a surprise to everybody. I think we all kind of could see Suarez having a good start or a bad start, but you don't expect, I think both these pitchers are better than Ranger Suarez. So you just expect better than that. And you expected Max Fried to do better than today and not to take anything away from the Phillies offense. I think they're pretty solid, but that's still a surprise when a guy that good gets hit around the way he got hit around. And so you don't really expect that to happen again.
Yeah. And you mean, I mean, if I've heard you say it once, I've heard you say it a million times this season on this show, that push protection at 7, such a common number, especially in these playoff games when, nobody's wanting to concede any runs at all. And everything is about run prevention. I just feel like having that push protection at 7 and then getting plus odds on the under, it just seems pretty valuable to me. You mentioned the wind's blowing in a couple miles an hour. I feel like it's setting up for a decent shot at a win here.
Yep. The other game, 8:37 p.m. Eastern, Padres at the Dodgers. As of the time of this recording, game 1 hasn't finished. Dodgers have a lead. So, but I mean, who knows? By the time you watch this, you may know more than we do at this point. But right now it's looking like the Dodgers likely to take the first game. The first game, Dodgers getting a lot of runs early off of Clevenger, which was very easy to foresee coming. I think I said those exact words, that she's not a very good pitcher and the Dodgers offense is too good. Different story here in game 2 with Yu Darvish on the hill, a pitcher who long talked about this season, been very impressed with, 3.10 ERA, and the underlying metrics say that's not really a mirage. Very solid pitcher. Probably not as good as Clayton Kershaw, though, who's still at this age having a fantastic season, 2.28 ERA. Advanced metrics say it should be in the mid-2s, but that's still fantastic. I mean, all the props in the world to Kershaw for continuing to pitch this well this late in his career. And as I've mentioned before, the benefit for the Dodgers today, throwing a lefty in Kershaw makes the Padres offense a little bit weaker. But this just sets up to be a very different game than game 1. Game 1 felt like the Dodgers would get out early and then it was just hang on for dear life. This one, though, with Darvish, I think he can go toe-to-toe with Kershaw. Obviously, this Dodgers offense is really good, but Kershaw is as well. Sideline says this should be Dodgers minus 166. And so the current money line price of plus 175 on the Padres might be worth a flyer at such plus odds. It falls in that B grade category, but instead of taking him on the money line, I'm going to take him on the run line at plus 1.5 at minus 130. That's a B grade pick officially for me. The total is not an overplay, unlike game one, where for some reason they gave us over 7. That made no sense. But it's set at 7.5 here for game two, which makes a lot more sense. Sideline says 7.8. And so since I think that the total is a little bit more accurate on this game, I don't think there's any harm in taking the plus 1.5. I don't like taking the plus 1.5s if I think that the game's going to go over, because I think it's more likely to be a 2 or 3 run game.
Right.
But I mean, 7.5 is not a very high total. Both these pitchers are pretty good. I think the total's not bad. So I think the run line on the Padres makes a lot of sense here. Minus 130 is a B grade pick. Weather-wise, a nice night in LA, mid-70s to start, upper 60s to close. As always, wind blowing out to start, dying down as the night goes along, and no rain in the area, because it's when you get rain in the area in LA, it's just confusing, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's usually a nice night for baseball. Jared, what is your take on this one?
This kind of, I had some second thoughts on this one, because I feel like, and I know this isn't reality, but I feel like every time the Padres played the Dodgers this year, the Dodgers just handed it to them. Because, I know that everybody thought that the Padres were going to be the team that was going to challenge the Dodgers this season.
And last season. Until they fell apart.
Yeah. And so it just feels like the Dodgers just wanted to squash that, like right off the bat, right? Like, we're not going to take this from you. You're the little brother. We're the big brother on the block, kind of thing. And I feel like they definitely did that at the beginning of the season. So I just kind of had that in my mind. But looking at what Sideline says here, I think there's just too much value taking the 1.5 runs here. I mean, we know this could turn into a pitcher's duel with Darvish and Kershaw going. And so you could easily see this being like a 3-2 game or something like that. You mentioned the total could be a 3-2 game, but the Dodgers offense is frightening to ever play an under against, kind of no matter what. But Sideline says that there's value here. I'm going to hop on the 1.5 runs as well. Maybe similar to what we said about the Phillies and Braves, where it's very unlikely that either team is going to want to concede this game, no matter the outcome of game one. And so I think that makes the 1.5 runs even more valuable. So I'm gonna stick with you and stick with Sideline here, and I'm going to take the 1.5 with Padres.
And I want to address something that was in the comments too. People talk about the hot bats, the Padres coming in or whatever, but we have to remember that it's very similar to what I talked about in the first episode of This Week of College Football about the squared rectangle thing, right? That we have to be careful about what implies what. The team that wins the World Series is the team that did get hot, but the team that's hot at any given moment isn't necessarily going to stay hot. And that's the thing, is that we know that a team that gets hot will win, but staying hot, getting hot, losing that heat is completely random. Oftentimes it has to do with just how good you are and how good the people you're facing are. And the Padres offense is good and can score runs, but when they face good pitching, that's going to be hard, right? And that's what happened here in game one to start off with. The hot bats, the Padres, didn't score in the first, whatever it was, 5 innings of the game, and that doesn't say hot bats to me, right? So to me, I'm not making anything of that one way or the other. The Dodgers are a really good team. They're likely to win this series. But the Padres have a couple of good starters. And when those starters pitch well, that's their key to winning the series. And it wasn't really in game one. Game one, you never know how that's going to finish up with bullpens, of course, but the biggest chance for them to win is a guy like Darvish getting into a pitcher's duel with them. And that sets up perfectly for this run line play. They can keep it 1-1, 2-2. And the Dodgers have had, as good as that offense is, good pitchers have been able to keep them to those runs. We saw it with Alcantara one time this year, did it too. Now, of course, one time they lit up Alcantara. So you just never know with that Dodgers offense, of course. But good pitchers can hold this offense down, and that's the key. Is this game's 2-2 late, 3-3 late, and then maybe the Padres pull it out. That's their best chance, but everything else on the run line, we're looking pretty good, secure, knowing that it's hard for the home team to win by multiple runs if it's tight late.
And I feel like this is a pattern that we've seen with the Padres throughout the end of the regular season, where we were oftentimes backing the Padres when they had their good pitchers going. But if Manaea was on the mound or Clevenger was on the mound, and we were fading them basically every time. So I feel like the Sideline's projections of these first 2 games kind of align exactly with what we've seen during the regular season, where it's just completely starting pitching dependent for the Padres, whether we're backing them or fading them.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate if you're a Padres fan that the way the wild card, and I think it's kind of by design, but the way the wild card worked coming off of that series, right, puts it where they're having to start their weakest of their 4 pitchers in game 1, who's then set up to also go game 5. That's not ideal for them. That's kind of the whole point of the wild card, is to penalize these teams. Because if the Padres were able to set up their rotation and get, Snell and Darvish and Musgrove going in this, and then maybe hide a bullpen game in game 4, then bring back those guys back in game 5, you're thinking, man, they got a chance here. But it's like, it starts them off rough that the guy that's going to potentially go twice in the series is by far their worst starting pitcher, because the other 3 guys are pretty good. And so they have chances to hang in there in 2, 3, and 4. It's just that it comes back around to game 5 being Clevenger. I don't know what they're going to do, how they're going to win game 5. I mean, they really have to win. Yeah. They really got to win it in 4, or else I don't like their chances. All righty. Well, those are 2 games. Any parting words from you, Cousin Jared?
Playoff baseball is the best, is it not? I can't, every single pitch is just like a heart attack waiting to happen. And so it is simultaneously the best and also the absolute worst.
How did you handle, because we've loved the Mariners all season long, and we're both Astros fans. Astros playing the Mariners. How did you handle game 1 with the insanity of them putting in Robbie Ray, who's been lit up by the Astros this year? Astros, including Alvarez, can hit lefties in that spot. A starter in the middle of an inning, not even at the start of the inning, but the middle of an inning, come back. How, knowing that you like the Mariners and you're always backing the Mariners, how was your emotions in all of this game?
As an Astros, the most important thing to keep in mind is that I had the Mariners plus 1.5. And so I was perfectly happy with almost any outcome at that point. But when they brought in Ray, he's one of those people where you just have irrational confidence as an Astros fan that the Astros are going to find a way to get a few hits off of him. So yes, I was actually sitting in a sushi restaurant and watching that on a TV there, and saw Alvarez hit the walk-off home run. So it was a very good night for me as both a Mariners backer and an Astros fan.
Yeah, in true playoff baseball style, I went into daycare to pick up my daughter during the pitching change, got her into the car, sat in the car in the parking lot, watched the at-bat on the phone.
The important stuff.
Yeah, the important stuff in life. I feel like that was the perfect outcome for us as Astros fans, getting the win and the Mariners plus 1.5. But I mean, it played out exactly like I talked about, right? Which is Mariners got a chance to win this game, but the Astros are really good, so let's be safe and take it on the run line, and that worked out just to a T. And getting the over, I don't think it could have gone much better. I feel like it's downhill from here for us, right? We cannot do better than that game. I mean,
that's absolutely correct. And obviously, as Astros fans, we would be heartbroken if they didn't make it to the ALCS. But at the same time, if the Mariners and Guardians are playing each other in the ALCS, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's going to be utterly depressing.
Yeah, I feel like I think we're set up well either way. It's either going to be Astros Yankees, which is what everyone wanted to see again as another rematch of this, and it's been such a great series between those 2 teams, or we get Mariners Guardians, which is the 2 teams we've loved all year, or we get a crisscross of one of the other. So I feel like the Final Four in the AL is going to create a lot of rooting interest and a lot of good money-making opportunities, in my opinion.
Yep, I agree.
All right. Well, that's all we have for you today. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Picks with the Professor. Don't forget to subscribe so you can ensure all the sports betting content we provide on this channel is dropped right into your feed. We'll be back throughout the week with more sports betting content. And until then, as always, best of luck. And remember, you can eat your betting money, but please don't bet your eating money.